Joining me now here at the Mackinac Policy Conference is Rachel Lutz. She owns the Peacock Room in Midtown and also Frida, which is just down the hall from the Peacock Room.
Yes.
And just had a big announcement this week that you are opening a third retail store in the city of Detroit, in the Fisher Building, which is being redone. Tell me about how that all came about.
I am so excited. I had no plans for a physical expansion. Business has been great at the Peacock Room in Frida. Frida, we actually just doubled the size of the store in anticipation of the Q line opening. And the Fisher Building approached me about a month ago and planted an idea, and I said no at first. I said no more stores, and then I thought, you know what? How do you say no to the Fisher Building? It is just magnificent architecture. It's the world's largest art object, they call it. And I really, really believe in New Center. I believe in the Fisher Building. The developers, the platform, they really have a vision for not just New Center, but Brightmoor, Island View. They're really investing in a lot of areas in Detroit that haven't seen a lot of development on this scale, really during my lifetime. So how do you say no to that?
Yeah, I know. So now you're part of it. So what is the third store going to be like? Is it going to be obviously a little different than what you already have?
They're all different brands. So the Peacock Room is kind of 20s to 50s Hollywood inspired, very retro, vintage inspired. Frida's more bohemian, more casual, so jeans, leggings, sweaters. Yama is the new store. Yama is named after Yamasaki, my favorite architect, who left a really big footprint in Detroit. If you know anything about Yamasaki, he was very clean lines, modern. So we're looking at very architecturally inspired retail, mostly women's apparel.
You know, I think it's really interesting, and I love your story, and you and I have been friends now for a little bit, and I've loved to see the growth of, you are the quintessential small business owner who came in and took a chance when I'm sure a lot of people said, you're crazy to be investing the way you are in that area of Detroit, plus with retail, with small retail that everyone said, meh, everyone's going to order online now.
Yeah, people did tell me I was crazy. They said that you shouldn't be doing a business in Detroit, which I thought was the opposite. It was like the best place to open a business. Retail is dying. I think we've proved that wrong. Bad retail is dying. And really, I mean, I could not have picked a better location, a better time. So, you know, you go in when there's an opportunity there. And I saw opportunity where I think a lot of people just look at Detroit as face value, and they just skim past all the richness that's there, and frankly the market that's there. It's an underserved market. So as chains continue to overlook Detroit to some point, I think that they're missing a huge opportunity, and I hope that they look at successes like mine as there is a market there, it deserves to be served, and we need to serve it, and we can serve it well, even better than they do out in the suburbs.
Have you kind of become a de facto mentor for people who are looking to open small businesses, or say, gosh, I'm going to go talk to Rachel because this is how she's done it or gotten through some of the red tape? Have you found that it's easier for people to come in with small business in Detroit now?
There has not been a lot of red tape for me. I know that the restaurant industry can be very different.
Right.
But retail, the barrier to entry is really quite low. I started my business maxing out a credit card and got creative with the financing. It's very humbling that other people come to me for advice, but I'm happy to give it because I wouldn't have been able to start my businesses without the amazing support network. The Detroit entrepreneurial scene is just, everybody's so supportive of one another. They really want to see each other succeed. So it was the perfect time for that as well. Like, that's the network that helped me launch, and that's what I want to help do for other entrepreneurs.
Do you think that people are able to now find those other services and find that help to be able to start their businesses, and we have more of that kind of help for entrepreneurs than we've had in the last 3 to 5 years?
There have never been more resources for people. I got help from SCORE through the Small Business Administration. There's Build Institute, there's Tech Town. For these new stores, I'll actually be applying for some financing through Motor City Match, Invest Detroit. There really has never been a better time of more opportunities. I mean, there's just so much out there. So if you're looking to open up a business, come to Detroit. You know, you'll find open arms. It's great.
I think it's really interesting too, because you're also a success story of being along the Q line. Now, you went through, I think, a lot of the pain of the construction.
3 years of construction,
which was, I think, very, very difficult for people to either find, or they say, I'm not gonna stop and park. It's just too much of a mess. But they're talking about the excessive ripple effect now, economically, from that 3.3 miles.
So I'm 37 years old. In my entire lifetime, and I've spent a lot of time in Detroit in my childhood even, I've never seen so much pedestrian traffic on Woodward on a regular basis. That wasn't during an event. This is really transformative of the neighborhood. That, along with, like I said, the Fisher Building's opportunity, it's never been a better time. I want to take all of our traffic in Midtown, downtown, push it out toward the neighborhoods. Detroit's building up, it needs to build out toward the neighborhoods. So by pushing that traffic into New Center, the North End, hopefully that growth continues to radiate out from the central core. We really need a lot of that growth in the neighborhood. So the Q line is, I like to say, the gateway drug to transit. The culture in Detroit around transit is not that favorable. You go anywhere else in the world, in the country, there's a totally different attitude about transit. I'm hoping that the Q line will be like that push to people to let them know what transit can do for the community. It's brought a lot of permanent investment with that permanent infrastructure. So I'm really excited. It's a visible difference, and I encourage everyone who hasn't seen it yet to come down and see it and come down and ride it.
You know, I think that is the next step that people are seeing, saying, all right, now we need to have the conversation again. Obviously, we had it and people went to the polls and they didn't vote for it. It was very, very close. But I think having that larger conversation, Ned Stabler from Techtown was on with us earlier and talked a little bit about how it's now you had that physical example, what you were referring to, that people can say, okay, this may not be the end all be all, but it could be the start.
Detroit may think it doesn't want transit, but Detroit wants transit, and it needs transit. And it's a shame that the RTA didn't pass, but hopefully, again, this will help enable that vision to move forward so that we can have a comprehensive mass transit policy strategy for Metro Detroit.
What are some of the conversations that you're having up here? Is it revolving a lot around small business and kind of like boosting the economy, or what are you hearing a lot when you're having conversations?
A lot about small business. They know that, I think folks here at the conference know that urban revitalization, job growth, those things can't happen without small business at the table. I'm hearing a lot of talk about education in Detroit. It doesn't matter, all this growth that we're seeing in Detroit, it's not sustainable until we help Detroit Public Schools, we help the students, we help the teachers, we support them. So I think that there's been a strong emphasis on education as well.
All right, well, Rachel Lutz, it's always good to see you. Owner of the Peacock Room, Frida, and soon to be Yama.
Yama, right? Thank you so much for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Take care, enjoy the rest of the conference.